Putting the debt collectors in place. Know your rights. The lender is obliged to officially notify you that appealed to a debt collector, and you should not communicate with him before receiving the notification. If a bank, MFI or a consumer credit cooperative did not do this on time, it is extremely useful to complain about them through a special form on the website of the central bank of your country. The lender can apply for one debt to only one collection agency. When the debt collector calls you, check whether he is included in the state register. If not, he is a fraudster who has no rights. Debt collector rights are clearly regulated by law. He is obliged to introduce himself and name the creditor, and has no right to hide his phone number and email address. He has no right to call you from 2200 to 8 o'clock on weekdays and from 2000 to 9 o'clock on holidays. The debt collector cannot call you more than once a day, twice a week, and 8 times a month. He cannot send your text, voice, and even telegraph messages at the same time and do it more often 2 times a day, 4 times a week and 16 times a month. He cannot see you more than once a week, even if it is supposedly a chance meeting. The debt collector is deprived of the right to exert psychological pressure on you, and even more so to humiliate, to introduce himself as a civil servant, to disclose information about you and your debt to any third parties in any way. He is deprived of the legal right to destroy or damage your property and threaten with this, and even more so to use physical force against you, any methods dangerous for your life and health, or threaten with it. The debt collector has no right to worsen the terms of the debt for you, but you can improve them by concluding a new agreement with the collector. The debt collector can contact your relatives or any third parties only if you have given your written consent to do so. For example, when signing a loan agreement. But you can revoke it at any time, and any third parties can refuse to communicate with the collector at any time, even in simple oral form. And he will not have the formal right to disturb them after that. If the debt collector has violated these rules, you can complain about him to the General Service of Bailiffs. And in case of threats and other serious violations, to the police. Thereafter, you can sue the collector for non-pecuniary damage, not to mention all the damages that you can substantiate. Debt collection company, it may face heavy fines. True, all this has to do only with legal collectors. Many fierce bandits, being released from prison now, go to the bandit collectors, using the only professional skills that they have, and sometimes even not knowing about the existence of any laws. Given the quality of the work of the law enforcement agencies, these bandits and those who imitate them represent a direct and obvious threat that must be avoided by all means. One of our clients once and for all kicked off the debt collector who terrorized him in connection with the debt of his distant relative. Then it was still allowed. In a professional doctor's extremely friendly tone in the middle of a nervous conversation, he suddenly asked the collector how long he had been doing his business. And then, without giving an answer, he continued with the story that he had a very good friend, very honest and professional oncologist. When a really dumbfounded collector interrupted his stream of praises of this oncologist with a bewildered question why this was being told to him, our client politely explained that the occupational diseases of the debt collectors are oncology, and that according to reliable medical statistics for the first year, the probability of getting sick in this collector is 30%. At the same time, he advised to apply as soon as oncology was detected and not to postpone treatment. The debt collectors never bothered him again. After 4 months of delay in your payment, you can refuse to communicate with the debt collector or the creditor. Moreover, if you have made a wrong application, the addressee within 10 days after receiving it is obliged to explain to you how to correctly draw up it. However, thereafter, the creditor will only have to take the case to court. And then the bailiffs will be required to seize your accounts, seize your property and sell it to pay debts. True, if you do not live in the region of your registration, they may not even look for you, but it is still not worth hoping for this, if you are not a swindler deliberately hiding from them. On desperate, honest people are parasitized by various fraudsters, often calling themselves anti-debt collectors, or debtors. They promise you a debt relief for paying some part of it in advance. Then they simply hide from you or show you a contract you signed, in which they did not undertake any intelligible obligations. In contrast to what they told you orally, and you just did not bother to check the text you signed. An easy variant of fraud is an unscrupulous lawyer who, for little money, takes over all communication with the collector and simply ignores him. As a result, after a while, the debt, burdened with penalties and fines, nevertheless falls upon you through the courts. The silence that you bought yourself turns out to be golden. Amazingly, many fall for the hard version of the anti-debt collector's deception, according to which you need to invest in some super profitable instrument that allows you to pay off your debt. You invest money, and on this, you fulfill your mission in the eyes of scammers. If these are honest speculative operations, for example, through an official broker, do not forget that the higher the income, the higher the risk, especially in a crisis. In relatively rare cases, thanks to unique personal connections, skills or literacy, an anti-collector can really achieve restructuring, which you were denied, or even write off your debt. However, you must carefully check all documents and absolutely make sure that the creditor unambiguously waives the previous claims. In addition, the cost of the anti-collector services with all the overheads should not eat up your benefit from the goal it achieves. An important problem with debt is the threat of fraud. You can pay off the debt in full, but an unscrupulous creditor can pretend that he did not receive your funds, sell, or transfer your debt to an equally unscrupulous debt collector. This debt collector can spin your case through the court without notice to you in violation of all legal norms, and accurately perform all the necessary procedures to your bankruptcy. And you will learn about what is happening only when it is already too late, and you quite unexpectedly face the confiscation of your property from you. The relevant legal practice already exists. The only way to protect against such fraud is to systematically check whether your name has appeared in the Unified State Register of Bankruptcy Information. Good luck and be careful. Do not be deceived by scammers. See you in the next videos. In the next video, you will learn what you should know if you decide to turn to debt collectors.